Hey, and we're live. It's been a bit of a break. Who's with me so far? So, um, anyway, a subject that's been long. Hello, the second one. Thanks for the hearts. um, I can't see who's with me. Not at least. Would be nice if they introduced that on YouTube already. Um, so the subject for tonight. Um, I was watching a interview with Whitney Webb. She's an investigative journalist. Um, and hey, Tuan. Um, and well, no, not yet. Hey, Benjext. I'm not in the new boat yet, but on Monday I'm picking it up. So that's also why I was taking it a bit easy. I've been a bit busy, obviously, preparing stuff for the new boat, preparing, well, logistics, because there's quite a lot. And then I also need to sort out the scraping of the old boat, so it's not gonna just stay somewhere and sink or whatever can happen. So yeah, I'm taking care of that. Taking it a bit easy with everything else. Although there's a few changes. If you've seen, I've published a new blog, so basically making that as an gateway and access to the Discord community. For now, it's gonna grow later into more stuff. So yeah, slowly making progress. The new boat is gonna be a lot of cleaning to do, but it works. Everything works. So I'm super happy. Monday is gonna be a cool day. I'm gonna try and shoot as much as I can, and then edit into some kind of a report at the end of the next day, because I think I'm gonna be pretty much motoring or sailing through the yeah, I think it's roughly 40 or 50 kilometers through the rivers, so it should be interesting. So yeah, still not sure whether I should keep this on the same channel or just open a new channel more focused on the boat part itself, linked to this one, of course. We will see. Okay, so much about the boat for now. I'm gonna be happily reporting about that definitely when it comes. The deal was made. The guy is really cool, like I said, as expected. So I've met a new friend for sure. I've met his family as well. It was really great stuff. So I think I will dedicate a special video about stories on the toilets. Because the last one I was visiting at his mom's house was amazing. um, Having said that, subject that it was on my mind, on my plan to put here, more or less, probably in a more constructed and edited video. It was about the pretty much like a big picture of financial system, politics, corporate stuff, media, because personally I cannot divide any of these, like even the food industry and the pharmaceutical industry and all of this stuff. When I look at the top corporations and top corporate levels, fusing together with our politics and daily lives, I would say at least more than a decade ago, I already came up with a term. I might have heard it before or came up with it myself, but that we are basically facing a rise of a corporate fascism, and that's really hard to swallow because even a lot of liberals and the leftists these days have completely fallen for the same narratives without even realizing. So it's like the divide and the conquer politics. And worse than that, it's more like the war for attention. So, as some of the crazies called it, they're coming for your soul, they're coming for the souls of our children. But this, if you break it down into now what's really true here and what's not. So, if we're talking about people drinking blood and shit like that, that's one of those things that takes you to the level of nutcase, and you're gonna fall for becoming radical or radicalized in one way or another. And then you have the sense of other people who are saying nothing bad's happening, everything's okay, the government is taking care of us, you know, the corporations are serving the people, etc., etc. Both of the statements are true. Well, drinking blood and everyone is trustworthy and helpful, that's a lie. The statements are true to the extent of, thanks. The statements are true to the extent of what people want to believe. The fact of the matter is, when you look at people such as Whitney Webb, Julian Assange, Edward Snowden, then one of my favorites is Catherine Bolkowitz. She was one of the people who exposed child trafficking within the top levels of United Nations, for example. In the description of this stream and this video, I've posted 3 links. So one of them is a really cool interview with Whitney, and I definitely recommend taking the time to watch that stuff. Save it, bookmark it, whatever you need to do. I'm also saving, there's a bunch of playlists on the homepage of my YouTube profile. The ones that are really good to pay attention to are called the Wake Up, Team Humanity, the Wisdoms and stuff like that. So I'm trying to point people out to the stuff that I also watch, and try to learn and broaden my perspectives. So cryptocurrency, digital ID. So that's really important subject, digital ID. So it kind of ties down and relates to internet itself, the freedom of speech, or at least the freedom of speech on the internet. And a lot of things are happening also financially, and it's some of the things you can see on the surface, like it was the crash of the FTX crypto exchange. Maybe some of whoever was paying attention, like massive, it was close to $2 billion stolen from the crypto exchanges, from the vulnerable crypto exchanges and the crypto bridges by the Korean hacking groups called Lazarus, for example. So all of these things, why I'm pointing them out, is like something that most of us have probably heard about, at least the FTX, everyone's heard about it, right? But what most people haven't heard about, and that's the third link in the description of this video, is the billions of euros being stolen in front of our eyes through schemes that are somewhat legal. They shouldn't be, but they are. The corporations, the banking system, and ultimately the Of course, the top of the cream of the rich people and everyone who decided to serve them and play the game have been stealing tons of money from every single one of us for decades through the schemes of either charities or other ways of, let's say, I would pretty much put it straightforward. It's just laundering money. It's just basically making money appear in ways like making money appear out of nowhere, or taking people's money and making them think they've got massive return on their investments. So putting it very simply, like look at the case of the FTX, simple Ponzi schemes, or what they call it, booking. So you have, on one side, you have numbers you present to the people, and on the other side, you have the numbers that you have in your books, the black books, the ones that are real. Everything we're being told in the media, in the science, in the finances, in the news, in the social media even, is nothing short of pulling your legs or bullshit. And I mean everything. And if it's not like that, it's getting worse, because in the next couple of years, we're not talking like 5 to 10 years, in the next couple of years, anywhere between 80 to 95% of content you're gonna see on most of the social media is either gonna be generated by the AI. Of course, there's gonna be people behind it generating that content with the AI, or it's gonna be ultimately just generated by the AI. And I'm also talking about most of the mainstream stuff. And then, funny enough, this is what Whitney is talking about, and it's really worth to pay attention to her. It's also gonna be curated by the same AI. One of the things that I have been personally following for over 2 decades is follow the money. Well over 2 decades. And it was much harder to do so before, let's say, around 2005, because not everything was online. Now, most of the stuff is online, but most of the stuff online is either hard to validate or presented in a way that any schoolboy would believe it to be good. And it's almost about any subject. You can talk about food and you will see information warfare. You will have, I don't know, vegans, buggy eaters, keto diet, other stuff. I mean, there's just so many people in all sorts of ways, but everywhere it's all about the clout and the attention and getting the, let's say, about the money. Even I was approached here. It's kind of funny because clearly my channel is given the topics and zero effort to make it grow fast and to make it viral or whatever. I'm being approached by very odd characters who think everything that exists on platforms such as YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and all this kind of stuff is all about viral content. If you want to really reach out to the masses and fast, yeah, for sure. Then I should keep making tons of shorts, a lot. It was a good test. But do I want to play the game of being the same kind of content creator that creates rather shallow, not so meaningful 1 minute clips that keep grabbing your attention for such a short time, but not giving you any educational value whatsoever? Or do I want to keep pushing my own agenda, let's say, so to speak? And my agenda is that I have none. My agenda is that everyone should really, really dig deep and figure out who they are and what's going on inside them and also around them, right? That's my agenda. When you look at the technocratic world, the digital ID, the digital currencies, and the banking systems, they already want to present themselves as in being in a full control of everything, and that generally speaking we are screwed to oblivion. And this is what I like what Whitney said. No, we're far from being screwed, because if you go and start playing with these AI tools and everything that they're creating and creating such big hype around, it's interesting to see the development. It's interesting to see how far we can go, and we could make our lives pretty damn easy with all of those things. But the longer you use them, the quicker you see all of the mistakes and the faults that the AI can make and that the machine can make. And they are not the human types of faults. They're just basically different kind of hallucination that this stuff comes up with. And very often I found myself like trying to use it as a tool to make my life faster. Well, faster. Some of the stuff make it happen faster, but it's more interesting to see not the development and the growth of the AI itself, is on the back side of it. So I'll take ChatGPT for example. Hey Oman, I'll take the ChatGPT for example. It's from the very start of the 3.5 version being released to the public. It was just clever as F. I mean, I could pretty much write code, I could do anything other than mathematical operations, because it's a language learning model. Within 6 to 12 months, it became so incredibly, what the gamers love to say, nerfed or limited. Other words, simply put, stupid. Because it starts to repeat itself and it catches itself in a loop. And it's not just ChatGPT, it's everything else. The only tools I find very useful for productivity in itself is anything related to make video editing and the digital design easier. So take a look at the cover on my YouTube channel or the logo. Both of them looking poor enough, but I'm happy because it took me only like maybe 30 minutes to create both of them. So that's why I find that tool useful. Do I still want to use any of those things for brainstorming, content creating, and any of that? Hell no. Why? Because one, it's feeding back a ton of information of the stuff that I don't think needs to be shared with necessarily with all the corporate network. And then on the other hand, it's only useful for the first 5 minutes of breaking down the points. Or if you wrote something really long and you need to translate it into another language, or you need to make it shorter, more readable, whatever that kind of is. It's really just a fork and a knife. But the whole hype and the being told, same goes with most of the cryptocurrencies, I figured. We're being told how it's gonna free our life and make it more, not comfort, but everything is more convenient, right? But with the convenience, we're opening ourselves up so far to give the information to the point like where at the moment, if you really read the news and really keep an eye on that stuff, how they're going to develop the augmented, the virtual reality together fused with the financial systems, it's nothing short of completely creating a system of keeping people as stupid and as narrow inside their own bubbles as far as it can be. And the way this is going already is by simple shorts. Every social media right now looks exactly the same. And when you look at I don't look at the mainstream media anymore, but it's also pretty much exactly the same. So the shorter your attention span stays, the more manipulated you're gonna get. So what Whitney said is also really good point here was you can hear a lot about preparing for the financial crack. It's happening for a lot of things to change and how to prepare. And then you have you know scammers like Andrew Tate selling you their war room programs and teaching you to be basically a bully and not a man. And you have on the other side a bunch of woke people trying to tell you to find your identity within something that's completely delusional instead of actually finding yourself people to stay in touch with, human touch. So it's all breaking down the mentality of what humans are like and what we are like and our own reality, how social we are, and that we basically need each other and we need to see each other and literally be close to each other. And the only what's funny thing when you look at the movement of the financial structures lately, the only thing they're really most afraid of, well, maybe there's three things, is people actually talking to each other openly, face to face, more or less, Bitcoin, because even according to the biggest financial institutions, of all the cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin is the commodity and everything else is a security. Learn what that means and you will understand it's a really good advice to have, I will say right now in these days, have Bitcoin and have gold. And I mean like Bitcoin, not in some centralized exchange, but you have your own wallet. It can be software, hardware, or just a paper. Doesn't matter. But own some of that shit because it's going to protect your wealth. Nobody's going to be rich. It's just going to protect what you have. Then the third part clearly is all the information. So they're afraid of, and this is in Europe, already being destroyed completely is the end-to-end encryption. So the right to privacy, the right to communicate with people without corporation, government, or anyone else being able to listen into. And why do I know all of this? Because clearly a subject I've been researching since the year 2000 and testing all sorts of applications, servers, open source software, and testing how secure it is and how good it is. Same, for example, almost 2 weeks now since I deleted Facebook and definitely not paid attention to any of the social media in general at all. I noticed a different shift in my own mind and the body and everything. Um, it's not like I don't watch stuff, for example, that I don't watch the stuff I just linked today on YouTube. But I don't use Instagram, I don't use X or Twitter or something, even though I have accounts. Funny enough, I even created an account on TikTok. But I don't go on TikTok to spend time on it. I literally decided what I'm gonna do even re-enables Facebook and some of the other accounts. But I'm not gonna be, so it's kind of like being that dealer that sells the shit to people and doesn't consume it. So, and I would advise anyone the same. If you have anything you wanna share with people in the world, don't be afraid to create your own content, say what you've got to say, share your honest feelings and thoughts and the stuff you see and experience, because more of us do that. Is like the one thing is you are the content owner, so they can't continue to censor everything. They can continue to do this on Facebook, YouTube, and all these platforms, but there's a ton of others. The most decentralized and the best and trusted one for video platform is, for example, the Odyssey. Not the Rumble, not anything else, but the Odyssey. Just look it up, because anything that's properly decentralized is really transparent from the start. Same, for example, if you look at the Twitter, or former Twitter, and now X, taken over by Elon Musk, and it's all about free speech. Again, quoting Whitney on this one, it's free speech, but no reach. So over there, if you're posting content that one way or another plays with the narratives on two sides, you will get a lot of clout. But if you're actually staying in the center, balanced in the middle, and providing solutions that neither of the sides would like, because it also criticizes both of their views, you'll get zero, even if you pay for it. And it's the same with all the rest of the platforms. So, but why reactivating? Because from all the addicted, how the Tate brothers call people who are overly addicted to the social media and everything else, and things like OnlyFans, they call them degenerates. And yeah, I mean, I still feel sorry for all those people, because they are abused, they are manipulated, and they're being played on their fear. So do you want to be like the Tate brothers and make money based on the people who are already completely desperate and lonely? No. I'm gonna keep making this for the rest of all those people who are still just scratching the surface and just waking up, or still in the process of awakening I'm trying to figure out how to connect with the rest of the people around the world without actually completely depending on the income and the financial structures from all of these clowns. I'm trying not to swear tonight because this should be one of the videos that's not gonna get removed later. Um, so one thing I realized, um, there's also another agenda being pushed. It's like this freedom or critical thinkers, but on one hand, like pretty much like a lot of realized or radicalized people. And I will say these are the kind of people who will find themselves in the masses of people who will start to adore Elon Musk or Trump or anyone else. You know why? Because they will say the same thing. They'll say because they say the stuff that nobody else says. Um, it's easy to say things that nobody else is saying. It's easy to say the right things. But what most of the people still don't pay attention to is actions of everyone in this game. So whether it's the politician or a celebrity or some guru on internet telling you how to get out of your matrix and free yourself in any kind of sense, including myself. Many of the for many reasons why I didn't start any of these things before, so many years before, even though I wanted to, because I noticed and I think I kind of even predicted this trap of the personality cult that the social media creates. It's like when willingly or unwillingly you start to become someone that people look up to and then they want to be like. And this is the trap. And the same trap that's been really created by the social media itself. Before we had the mainstream media and the yellow pages and stuff like that, but it was not so prominent because you were still not stuck to this screen. You actually had to go outside and meet people and do something with them. But now I'm walking around observing people in a restaurant, mobile phones on the table, hanging outside in the park, mobile phones in their hands. Here in Netherlands, you walk around and you see the windows and everything, well, everything, in most of the cases, living rooms and kitchens open, so you can see what people do in the evening when it's, let's say, peak time, 8, 9 o'clock in the evening before going to bed. I think really 2 to 3 families out of 50 I can see through the windows actually talk to each other without any devices on their tables. And the effect we have on our minds, on our mental health, on our well-being and all of that is beyond proven with everything. Same goes for the food. It's like so much crap we're being told about the food. And it doesn't matter whether it's vegan or not. Ultimate few things what we're not being told on a daily basis, that stop eating processed food. Whatever you're gonna eat, try to buy it somewhere where it was grown as naturally as possible and then cook it yourself. That's the healthiest way of living. For example, the same stuff goes for the pasta and bread. Eat whole grain, don't eat processed food. And why, processed food means the same with milk. It doesn't matter, it's gonna be full fat milk or zero fat milk. If it's processed, homogenized and all this stuff, you're just eating, well, consuming crap that's not particularly healthy for you. Either way, the programming is becoming so narrow that even the smartest people are becoming stupid and dumb. And it's all related to how far and how focused you want to stay for something. So mentally, physically, and otherwise. If you keep consuming stuff, you're screwed. If you keep doing stuff for yourself, creating, owning, whatever it is, so pretty much putting it from the same rich man's perspective, because ultimately that really works. That's why they keep the power as long as they can, is whatever you do, it has to be yours. And ultimately for your own, not for your own benefit alone, but for your benefit to begin with. When we started to turn into the society of reducing ourselves and keeping our mouth shut in order to fit in, get more successful, be better, be more acceptable, be more likable, all of those things, regardless of how much you tell people that you're doing exactly what you love to do or you're free and whatever, ultimately deep down, look at it and you are ending in a rat race. Especially nowadays with people going, selling you the big dreams about whether it's drop shipping or forex investments or crypto investments or whatever it is. The point is, you can be free in anything you do and being whoever you are, and it's definitely not so much about the money and the tools that you need to survive. It's more about focusing on what matters. And that's the secret sauce that nobody really tells you. Finding the know-how, the resources, the people, and all this kind of stuff is, again, a matter of actually doing it and showing up more than following the rules of how it's being done. And another secret sauce they don't tell you. So many things. The education system doesn't teach people how to explore themselves and explore the world around them. It teaches them how to spend time focusing on multiple subjects during the day, but effectively not being very practical about what they learn. I'm one of those lucky people who can remember for 10, 20 years or longer what I've learned in the high school or something, or in the college, but most of the people don't. The system in itself is designed to keep the same structure that was already in power for thousands of years ago. Before, it was more or less through the religious institutions and the religious structures, then the financial, then the political, and through the political it became into the in the educational institutions, and then the rest. Where people are gonna find true freedom is not through following one ideology or scripture or philosophy alone, but is to really, in a sense of like exploration and discovery, to really live a very free, open minded life without prejudice. So when you meet someone that doesn't really fit into your agenda, give them the time to listen, to hear what they've got to say. Maybe you're gonna learn something that makes sense. And if not, stay kind and respectful, because maybe they're gonna learn something from you, and only years later you're gonna see the fruits from. I know that's happened to me. So again, one thing I will say, that for an individual in this society, so for one person alone, wherever you are, whoever you are, whatever you believe, whichever language do you speak, and whatever you really want to achieve, we're all fucked. I finally dropped one for towards the end of this stream tonight. But, and here comes the good part, giving into the fear, the panic, as well as the competitive race and survival mode, is exactly what they want. Thinking you are isolated, alone, and unable to do anything about it is exactly what they want everyone to believe. While all of us have still a really, really tough present and the future ahead, all I can say personally from all my experiences before, the things I could have, the things I did and I have foreseen, and I could have foreseen in the past 4 years, it's been really strong, but much before as well, is the crazier, the scarier, and the darker things seem to become, the more clear it is that every little action out of pure heart, pure love, and pure light, and pure human honesty is gonna ultimately be the pivoting point in changing the future. Not the machines, not who holds the power of information, and not who has all the money. Because the natural balance is still in the true survival of humanity, and this is where each and every one of us are playing a massive role. And more often than not, people who are doing really the smallest, least significant actions are the ones impacting the way things are going way more far ahead than propaganda systems. So that's kind of my own perspective, long, very long perspective on, am I afraid of the system and the matrix, and is it okay to take a stance as in fighting against anything, or am I really happy and peaceful with everything, basically, especially from within, looking at the fact that 20 days from now I'm facing the court, the matrix, and it is a bit scary, to be honest. So the ego part is definitely contemplating too much and overthinking. But when I look at myself as a whole, I have no fear, no particular attachment to the whole situation. I just know what I need to do on the surface, what I'm obliged to do, and then from there on, it's all about not pushing, but just step by step generating this new life that I've realized, you know, almost kind of have to live or want to live, either way. And it's the same for everyone else. The more you go against, I don't know, against the system, against something, against your enemy, against something else, the bigger that energy and the challenge itself grows, because that's what you're focusing on, and that's what you're feeding your attention on. So knowing that everything is energy and everything is vibration, it's really important to understand that they've already lost their game a long time ago. But each and every one of us has to come to the point of remembering that rather than learning something new. And that's something I've seen on the faces of people like Whitney and a few other clever people and interviews on YouTube I watched. Is when people are aware what's happening and how, but they don't want to actually point it out so clearly. Our mental focus and our belief, our own individualistic belief system plays a massive role in how the dynamic of the society is being created. So if we are only the consumers of all the information, instead of the people also giving out, then we lost as a humanity and as a society. But the more people start to do pretty much exactly what I'm doing right now, all of the algorithms and all of the information power has nothing over any one of us. So I hope whoever's watching this, that you have been more focused on the last few minutes of what I was saying rather than summarizing the whole history of that before, because I think that's really important here to remember, edit out, and share. And yeah, pretty much whatever I wanted to put out of my chest for tonight with all this. And also, to be honest, I'm gonna have to go to the loo, so it's about time to finish the stream. It's so cool to have more than a few of you, 2 or 3 constantly. So thanks, guys, again. Um, and yeah, I'm gonna try and be a little bit more frequent again, following from the next week onwards with regards to the boat and the rest of the development and stuff. Yeah. Um, and I'm gonna try and get some more guests to speak with me, I think at least once or twice a month. So any volunteers, feel free. um, you hit the link on the top of my profile, send an email, I'll reach out to you myself and we'll speak from there. Um, to anyone else watching this replay later, thanks for suffering the whole 50 minutes or something with me. Thanks everyone else. Thanks guys again for the support and your comments, of course. I'll see you on Discord and I hope it was good. I hope it was interesting. Please do make sure to visit the links in the description. Um, and also, like I said, keep an eye on the playlists that I keep populating with the videos because most of them are interesting from all sorts of the perspectives and they should be giving you some sort of a source of information that I also rely on. So thanks for watching. Good night. Peace. Stay free. Love you all.